true idea of equality, the original American ideal of the Declaration of Independence, has been subverted by the false concept of equality, advanced by Jean-Genet Rousseau and Karl Marx. Jefferson's concept of equality from the Declaration of Independence cites all men are created equal. An example of manipulation of language is today no one in a leadership role dares to cite the reference merciless Indian savages in the same document. Rousseau launched an attack on the European feudal order that began with the Holy Roman Empire of the Germanic people. This was the pyramidical hierarchy of God, king, aristocracy, clergy, military, and down to the serfs. Rousseau's ideas inspired the Jacobians of the French Revolution, who led the Frankish aristocrats to the guillotine, which was a great act of ethnic cleansing. In his youth, Karl Marx wrote poetry dedicated to the devil and to world destruction. His destructive intentions were further revealed as early as 1843 in his essay, A Critique of Hegel's Philosophy of Right. This essay was written 5 years before the Communist Manifesto, Marx's best-known work. Marx's critique advocated the following revolutionary strategy. 1, criticism as a weapon to destroy the enemy. 2, one class to be blamed for everything. 3, creating a proletarian society. 4, liberation from so-called Christian Germanic serfdom. Marx's war plan of 1843 has been followed ever since. Moses Hess was the revolutionary who introduced Marx and Engels to French communism and who later wrote Rome and Jerusalem in 1861, which has been described as the roots of Zionism. Another contemporary of Marx was Ferdinand Lassalle, founder of the German Workers' Association. Marx followed with his first International Working Men's Association in 1865, which formed the basis for the American Union activity. Another early work by Marx, The German Ideology, written in 1845 and 1846, claims that slavery originated in the patriarchal family in which the wife and children were the first slaves. This is the origin of radical feminism. Dr. Nelson, what was Thomas Jefferson's definition of equality?
The text for Jefferson's definition is in the Declaration of Independence. The statement that all men are created equal. This text needs to be kept in context, however. Taken out of context, misunderstanding arises. At that time, they were talking about equality between colonialists and people in the home country of England.
Well, now, Dr. Walpin, what was the definition of Marx and Jean-Genet Rousseau's definition of equality?
Their definitions really were ones of, you might say, condition, that inherently all of us are essentially the same, and that because of the institutions that we inherit some are, you might say, artificially lifted up, and others are suppressed. Needless to say, this was sharply at variance to the conception by Thomas Jefferson.
Mr. Baum, you seem like you have something that you want to add to this discussion.
Well, Jefferson and our colonial founding fathers were primarily talking about equality before the law, under the law. And as Dr. Nelson explained, the big problem at that time with the colonialists, who were Englishmen by and large, were treated different for representation. That's why no taxation without representation, than the people in England. And then again, in the English law, the aristocracy under the Magna Carta had special protected rights, which really didn't go to the ordinary citizen. And I think Jefferson was, I know that Jefferson and the colonial fathers were primarily interested in that aspect, not in equality of having material possessions, but equality as is expressed in the Declaration of Independence, or pursuit of life, liberty, and it only was for legal rights and not for equality rights as currently used and as were used by the radicals like Thoreau and Marx.
Mr. Taney, did you have something that you wanted to add to this?
Yes, Thomas Jefferson's definition of equality, referring to the rights, every individual's rights under the law, formed the foundation of what became our great country, the United States of America. And that was not by accident. The fact that it encouraged individual behavior, unrestricted, relatively unrestricted, is very important to the country that we have today, and to all the economic accomplishments that we've made. It enhances an environment of entrepreneurialism and risk-taking, and if you start encroaching on that definition, you're going to start restricting activity, and you're going to get substandard results. And the way that it's being done today is we're changing the definition of equality from one of individual rights under the law to a definition of equal outcomes and equal economic opportunity. Those are more restrictive, and they're going to get worse results over the long run.
And Dr. Nelson, Dr. Walpin, both of you sit there so like you have something that you want to add to this. Which one of you would like to go first?
Rousseau is famous for his essay on the origin of inequality. Rousseau believed that inequality arose when man left a state of nature and developed civilization. Rousseau believed that man by nature was good and equal in a state of nature. Marx, however, didn't really look to the state of nature as the good. He believed that man was strictly a social being, and he believed that inequality arose among men with the development of economic systems of production which divided men into classes. So his concept of man as a total social being, neither good nor evil, actually rejecting such values, was significantly different from that of Rousseau, but both had the same idea of inequality as something that did not exist in nature or by any kind of physical law. People would be basically all the same without civilization or economic factors.
Dr. Walpin.
Yes, I think carrying that forward a bit, we can see that their approaches, that is Marx and Rousseau on one hand and Jefferson on